Warning, this podcast may be disturbing to some listeners. Due to the graphic nature, listener discretion is advised. Welcome from wherever you are. This is the Demon Inside podcast. I'm your host, John Venom. If you would like to review another episode of the Demon Inside, you can go to Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and any podcast platform. And please, don't forget to subscribe and rate us with 5 stars. A new episode will come out once a week.
Time and space. Vast indifference of the universe.
We will be right back after a word from our sponsors. And welcome back to the Demon Inside.
We all have demons that we wrestle with. And my demons, the worst of my demons, just happen to be demons of murder. It was a sick, I'll say sick, attraction or deep-seated appetite for blood.
Hello, my Demon Insiders, and welcome back to the Demon Inside. I'm your host, John Venom, and today we are going to be talking about the Demon Inside, Aeman Presley. So that was Aeman Presley talking a little while ago, and I took part of an interview that he did on Where the Bodies Are Buried, which is a podcast by profiler Phil Chalmers. It's a really good podcast about serial killers that talk to Chalmers about his killings, and sometimes they actually confess killings that the police don't even know about. It's a really good show, and he's really good at getting them to talk. So if you get a chance, you should listen to that. But a lot of these parts are going to be from that interview of Aeman Presley, and he was born in Chicago, and he grew up in the mean parts of Chicago, and he was probably about 12 when his mother realized that he was part of a gang and gang members, and he was dealing drugs, and he was doing drugs at 12. And so she decided that they were going to move to Atlanta. She had family there. And later on in life, as he got older, he joined the military and ended up getting out of the military and came back to Atlanta, and he was working as a dishwasher, and he got into an argument with this guy there who disrespected him, and he wanted to kill him, but he knew he would get caught if he killed this guy, but he was angry, and he walked off, and he decided that he was going to rob a store so that way he didn't have to make money, but instead it switched, and he decided that he was going to kill somebody. Let me let you listen to the way he ends up talking about it in his own story.
I was actually
Listen to
looking
this.
to rob a dollar store in the Stone Mountain area, and it didn't go as planned. It wasn't set up right. Things weren't in place. Things weren't set up where I feel like I would get away with the robbery of the dollar store. So I figured I'd come back and replan that or look for something else. So I'm lingering in the area, Stone Mountain area, Harrison Memorial Drive area. It's late at night. It's dark. I got on dark clothes, black clothing, black hoodie, a black mask under my hoodie. I got a .45 revolver, fully loaded, hollow point rounds. Nobody was around, and I just happened to be on the bus stop, getting ready to return to where I was staying at the time, and come back and plan another robbery another day. And I just happened to look over to the left. I just happened to look over at an old abandoned Kmart that was on that Memorial Drive, Harrison intersection. It was in that area. But I looked over there. I'm now 34 years old, and I see what appears to be a homeless individual drinking alcohol and smoking what appears to be crack cocaine, sitting in the entrance of the abandoned Kmart by himself, nobody around, it's dark, no witnesses, nowhere near anything. And I looked, and I didn't think about him at first, and still thinking about armed robbery. But then I looked back over at him, and it was in that moment that my mind made a insane switch from thinking about money to thinking about murder. With all due respect to the victim and the victim's family, as I share this, I was overcome by I would say, sick lust or drive or desire to just straight up kill. And suddenly I found myself headed in the direction of the gentleman that was there. And I went over in the wooded area that was near the Kmart, and a bunch of pine trees, it's dark. I made sure that the gun was loaded, the .45 revolver. At the time I had three rounds in there. I pulled the mask over my face, the hoodie over my head, got myself together, and I walk out of the wooded area. I come around the cut, I enter the Kmart, and I walk up to Mr. Golston, and as he puts his hands up, I fire one shot into his chest. He falls on the ground face first. I fire another shot to the back of his head. I step back. I fire another shot to his back. I stand over him. I begin to see plenty of blood pooling around his head. You know, I made sure that I finished the work or finished what I had started. And once I saw that he was dead, I walked away. And I walked away with an adrenaline rush from hell. It's like I could have killed 12 more people without thinking about it. But I walk away with this sick adrenaline rush from hell. And it takes me about 45 minutes to get back to where I was standing at the time. And the adrenaline rush didn't calm down by the time I got back to where I was standing at the time. That's when I enter into the place where I was living at the time. And I go in and I jump in the shower. And while I'm in the shower, while the water in the shower is running down my face, tears begin to run down my face as well. And I begin to talk to God, and I begin to talk to the universe, and I even begin to ask Mr. Golston, knowing that he was dead, and now on the other side, I begin to ask him, I begin to ask God to forgive me for committing that murder. And I begin to ask myself, why did I just do that? What the hell am I doing? This is not what I came back to Atlanta for. What the hell am I, what am I doing? It was after that night that I decided, before I went to sleep that night, I was able to go to sleep. It may not seem like people may wonder how it is, just I was conditioned like that in my youth. You know, being in the military, basic training, Fort Benning, Georgia, they condition you to kill too, so that helped. But I slept that night, and the next morning I woke up and realized that I had just returned to Atlanta, and instead of, while I was trying to pursue an acting career, I just killed a man.
So Aeman Presley describes it as a switch. He said that a switch took place in his mind, and all of a sudden he thought about killing. He had never killed before. This was his first killing. So how do you switch from robbing a store to I'm going to kill somebody? Now remember, he had talked about that he was angry because this guy at the restaurant, and anger usually starts up a lot of these problems, and we know that from other episodes. The demons, they get inside when you have a little bit of sin or doubt or fear or anger, and this was one of those deals that he had already decided in his mind, and it switched, like he said, to kill somebody. So he killed this guy in cold blood, and he felt an adrenaline high from hell. It's exactly what he said. he waits 2 months before he decides to kill again. Let me let you listen to the way he describes his second killing.
Okay, the insane part, even for myself, because I'm watching myself do this, and I'm not understanding. But the insanity of it all was that the next day after I asked God to forgive me, I asked Mr. Golston to forgive me, I try to forgive myself, and I say, look, I'm going to find another job. I don't want to rob, I don't want to kill, I don't want to sell drugs. I want to work, I want to do things the right way, thinking about my future. It was like karma or something. I actually ended up finding another job washing dishes at a catering business also in the Atlanta area. So I'm working there, I'm doing okay. I'm working, saving money, making money. I ended up getting a hotel room, I ended up getting an apartment. I've even taken some acting classes again since I've been back in Atlanta. You know, things were doing all right, I'm doing okay. And the hotel I was staying in, there was a Wendy's around the corner. I ended up going to the Wendy's that night to get a bite to eat, to get something to eat. I returned back to my hotel room, and the movie 300, I'm sure there are a lot of people that are familiar with the movie called 300. It's a war movie. A lot of blood, a lot of killing, a lot of fight scenes, a lot of sword fighting scenes. So as I'm eating my Wendy's, but while the movie 300 is on, I can hear the swords clinging and clanking, and the fighting scenes, and it was the sound of the swords. Somewhere in my psyche, hearing that sound of those swords, I look up at the TV screen. And when I look up at the TV screen and I see the fighting and the killing and the blood, all of a sudden, the same thing that rose up that night that I killed Mr. Golston, it rises up again.
We will be right back after a word from our sponsors. Now it's time for the Uber shout out. So this week I don't have an Uber shout out, but I would like to send a shout out to Angel. She's a friend of mine that works very, very hard as a doctor, and she's a really cool chick who loves old movies, old music like I do, which is very rare for me because usually nobody likes the really old stuff. And we're talking about back in the day with Billy Jack, the movie, and 110 Soldier, those type of songs. And if you've never heard of that, Billy Jack is a really good movie, except it was made in the 60s. So if you like to hear that kind of music and stuff, you'd probably be in the same boat as me and Angel. But, alright guys, I just want to send her a shout out and keep up the good work. So let's get back to our case. And welcome back to The Demon Inside.
I have this sick desire, this sick urge to kill. It was a sick addiction. And so it was an adrenaline rush that was addictive, like doing drugs or sex. And so I found myself, after I eat my Wendy's, I find myself in a ritualistic manner. I find myself cleaning the gun, cleaning the rounds, putting on my hoodie, putting on a mask, gloves, all these things. And I found myself going out late again at night. And in my mind, it was the same as I was going hunting. Like if you and I were to go fishing or you and I were to go deer hunting, it was the same thing for me. I was going hunting, but I was just hunting people. And so I come out, I leave out the hotel. I'm in the downtown Atlanta area. And I'm walking around, and of course, I see a homeless guy under a blanket. He wasn't asleep. He was actually smoking crack cocaine under a blanket. I see him flicking the lighter. Nobody is around. No witnesses. It's dark. I pull my mask over my face. I pull the hoodie over my face. I get the gun. I get the .45 revolver. I got it to the ready. I pull the .45 revolver out. I look around the area just to make sure there are no witnesses again. And just like that, we ease. And while he's laying on the ground under a blanket smoking crack, I walk up and stand directly over him, and I unload all 5 rounds into his chest. Bow, 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 bow. Just that fast.
So he uses the word ritualistic when he's getting ready to go kill, which is a very unique word, I think, especially in common society, because we never really use ritualistic. Ritualistic to me means going to church and praying the rosary over and over and over again. This is about killing. Take a listen. This is his recall of the third victim.
Right. After the second one, after I killed, I believe that was Mims that night. After I walk away from him, I've had this sick adrenaline rush. But when I walk away, as I'm making it back to the hotel room I was staying in my mind, I was still asking myself, like, why the hell did I just do that? Like, why did you just do that? It was like two sides of me. One part of me was like, why are you doing this? And another part of me was enjoying it. I'm living like a double life. I'm a hard-working, struggling actor in the daytime and a killer at nighttime. It was kind of crazy. And but I didn't see all of this in my mind. It's just what was going on. So I'm working, and it's one night. I'm still at the hotel, and it was kind of the same thing. I just don't remember what was on television that night, but it was the same thing. I'm sitting there. I'm watching TV. I'm probably doing a little drugs. Maybe I'm doing a little coke. The drug didn't have anything to do with it. This same sick, insane desire to kill raises up in me again. It's like, this is what I do. This is my thing. It's like, this is what I'm addicted to. This is my vice. These are the kind of demons I have.
I'm going to stop it there for a second, because he talks about it rises up in him. He doesn't say it comes out in his mind. He doesn't say he hears it. He says it rises up in him. And then he talks about his demon. So for me, yeah, this is possession, or maybe even sharing the body with himself, because he still remembers what he did, and he still feels sorry for what he did, but he still did it because this obsession took over. And again, I believe in those 4 demonic: infestation, oppression, obsession, and possession. And that's what one of these is. Listen to this.
So, put on my hoodie, the mask, everything in a ritualistic manner. I even asked God to forgive me before I'm going out to do this. I'm walking around in the West End Atlanta area, and I'm looking for a victim. It's like I was working, so I didn't need any money. It was just like, this is what I do at nighttime. I go out and kill. And of course, I walk by a viaduct. That's where the train tracks run over the little street, the bridge under the bottom. Like, a lot of homeless people sleep under those bridges in cities all over the country. So I'm walking over the viaduct, and I just happened to look, and I thought to myself, it's very possible somebody could be asleep up under there. I'm walking, and I see a body under what appears to be a blue tarp. I come out of the bushy area next to where he was sleeping. I look around, make sure ain't no cars driving by, make sure ain't no people walking around, ain't no witnesses out there. And I turn back around, and I make my last pass by him. And when I get up to him, I quickly pull the 45 out and bam, 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 bam. In that same speed, I unload the 45. I dump all the rounds into his chest. After I had shot him repeatedly, he didn't die right away. He actually set up, and he made this sound. And by the time I got to the West End train station, it began to haunt me just a little bit, because I wasn't sure whether I had killed him or not, whether he was dead or not. So it may sound sick, but I felt like if I'm going to kill a man, then I'm going to make sure he's dead. I'm not going to leave him laying there suffering. I decided that I would turn around and return back to the area and make sure that he was dead. By the time I got back, he was, of course, dead. And, I stood over him. Hey, sir. Hey, sir. Hey. And, of course, no response. He was, of course, dead. But to make sure, I actually shot him 2 more times in the temple, in the head. As I left the same field, as I made it back, as I slowly walked back to the West End train station, all I kept telling myself, all I kept asking myself, why am I doing this? And I actually told myself, I remember saying to myself, man, you have absolutely lost your soul.
Why are you doing this? That's what he asked himself. And you lost your soul. What do you all think of that? I mean, honestly, this is a killer explaining what he did. He's not holding anything back. He's telling you the best description that he can give, because he feels a little remorseful. He really does. not for the fact that he killed, but I think there's a part of him inside that feels remorseful. He feels like he did because he had to do it, but at the same time, he's kind of remorseful. It's kind of hard to explain. But let's continue with this. This is his fourth and last victim.
Okay, this particular night, I just want to do a little bit of drugs, a little bit of partying. You know, you can never have enough money, you know, so I got a gun. Why don't I just rob somebody for a couple $100, huh? It ain't got to be a whole lot of money, just a few $100, whatever. And till I get my next paycheck from the dishwasher job, I get the idea to get off in the Decatur area, Decatur train station. So I'm walking around the Decatur area. I saw a male. I saw an older white guy, an older white male, walking the bars in the downtown Decatur area. And it just looked to me like the type of individual that would have a few $100 in his pocket, or a little bit of money. So of course the game plan was to rob him. He got away because he had made a right turn into an area near the downtown Decatur area where it's like a parking garage where, you know, people park their cars and pay the fare. He was in an area that was well lit, probably cameras, so I didn't want to take the chance of trying to rob him. So I continue to walk around the downtown Decatur area with a black hoodie on, a .45 revolver. Now, the motive that night was to get some money that night. I kept walking through the Decatur area. I'm looking for a male. I don't really want to rob any women or you know, nothing like that. I'm really looking for men to rob. So I just happened to look up and I saw Miss Karen Pierce walking in my direction. It was dark. I had on dark clothing, a black hoodie, a black mask. She doesn't see me right away. I see her walking. I see she has a purse. The first thing that crossed my mind, Phil, was, okay, I'll rob her, but because she's a woman, I'm not going to shoot a woman. So as she's walking in my direction and I'm walking in her direction, I guess she notices me in the dark. So I got the .45 out, and as she made a left turn into that alley, I also made a turn into that alley. She turned around. She was very brave. I told her family members that she was very brave. She actually turned around with her car keys in her hand, and in a manner as if she had a knife. She was like, "What do you want?" Like she was ready to defend herself. Mm-hmm. And of course, it was at that point that I pulled the .45 out and told her to get down on the ground before I shoot her. And she complied. She got down on the ground. I made her squat down on the ground. I told her to go in her purse, get the money out, get the cash out. I want cash. Hurry up. She complied. She gave me a wallet. I stood up. As I stood up to turn around, I didn't plan on shooting her. The thought crossed my mind that she might holler once I got away. And on impulse, in just that split second after I thought about that, on impulse, while she was still sitting on the ground, I turned around and I fired a shot into her chest. And I disappeared into the Decatur train station.
So after killing his fourth victim, he goes home. And of course, after this, he gets caught by the Atlanta police. They end up... It's so weird because he jumps the turnstile in a subway and they catch him and they go back to question him and they don't feel right about something and they search him and they find a gun that the police have been looking for. And this is the reason why they end up catching him. Now, if you've never seen the first 48, it comes out on that. Look up the first 48, Bloodlust. But killing her at the end, killing her changed him in a way that he never suspected. Take a listen.
The East Atlanta area. Instead of the usual adrenaline rush from hell, this time, as I made my way back to my apartment after robbing and shooting Miss Pierce, I had a very sick, nauseous feeling in my stomach. Like I wanted to throw up. I looked at myself in the mirror and all I could see was the devil, you know.
As I looked in the mirror, I saw the devil. That's what he said. He was praying to God after he killed, because first he didn't know why he was killing. Then he prayed to God before he killed to forgive him. His mother installed that in him. He had that remorse in him. He had that soul. But the demon had already taken over. The demon was sharing his life since a super young age. And in the interview that he gave, as I told you on the first 48, he talks about those demons coming from childhood. Take a listen.
Explain this. It is an issue. Something mental that I need to know about.
I drink and I do smoke. I don't really remember. But I just have a lot of demons. I was exposed to all of the poisons out there.
Right.
All of these demons.
Like you saying demons, what's that mean?
I'm just trying to make my dreams come true and not end up another brother dead, another brother in prison.
Right.
I just want to do this. But these people won't stop with me. I'm reaching my point blank. I've been on the verge of going postal for years.
Make me understand this. Talk about them. Take your time.
So I just planned on getting my together for my kids by the time I was 35. Be a good father, a professional working African-American male. You know, I got a folder full of headshots. I was dabbling with some acting here in Atlanta.
You?
Yeah, I was on ABC primetime. If you look at, check me out.
I'm gonna do that.
Even if I never became another Denzel Washington, your acting job pay pretty good,
No
enough to just, get a
I'm
nice.
gonna see if I can get a job acting.
But there's also just been a lot of dark and negative things that seem to follow me from childhood on up. And so, and I feel like I've always been alone. My father was a sheriff in Chicago, but he was never there. No father, no uncles, no brother, no nothing, just me and my mother. It says it takes a village to raise a child.
That's for sure.
Well, the village that raised me just happened to be criminals and gangbangers and killers and murderers. I was shooting guns as early as 12 years old. Cocaine, selling drugs as early as 12. Smoking cocaine, marijuana, drinking, older gang members. So I left Chicago, moved to Atlanta. Those same demons just found me here. I'm gonna tell you everything you need to know. It's just, I just need a moment.
Take your
You know what I'm
time.
saying? Because I know it's about to change everything. Because I know my life is about to go into whatever the direction is going.
Your life is fluid, brother.
I know.
Your life is meaningful. And whatever's in you, it's all about the truth, man. That's it. That's why we sitting here. That's it.
I killed him. I did that. Sitting here watching American Dad, he was just talking about murdering, killing, and in a split second, it triggered something in me. I'm telling you.
So what'd you do?
There's a dark side of me that's like, this is what we're gonna do, this is who you are. But then the other side of me is like, no, well, I'm in control. But the bloodlust and all that overrides.
Bloodlust is driving the bus.
Right. That made me just want to kill.
So, according to him, the bloodlust is what caused him to do it. It drove him to do it. Could the bloodlust be a name for a demon? Could it be the obsession of the demon? Yes, it can be. We've already determined that there are demons called murder, lust, and other names, and this one just happens to be bloodlust. Thanks for listening, guys. Hope you like the show. Be safe, and I'll see y'all next week. Don't forget to subscribe to the Demon Inside podcast on any podcast platform. A new episode of the Demon Inside will be released every week. Let us know what you think of the episode on all our social media platforms. If you have any questions or comments, go to thedemoninside@gmail.com or click on the link down below. We would love to hear from you. And to become a Demon Insider, go to our website, thedemoninsidepodcast.com. We thank you for listening and hope you will join us next week for a new Demon Inside podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please tell your friends. I am John Venom, and I'll see you next time. If I don't get possessed. The Demon Inside was written and created by James Porter. It is a production of Venomous Entertainment. background music is by Lucas King, and the title song Demon Inside was produced by Rice Prober, composer lyricist Peter Shelley, and performed by Conjure One.